Hi guys! Today I'm going to show you my pin badge collection. I know I've done a video similar to this before, but I definitely did not have as many as I do now. And also I've put them onto embroidery hoops. So I think I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there are different genres all collected together. So I thought I would go through them with you, tell you kind of where I got them from and why I love them, and just show you a few of my collections. I've actually got some leftovers too that don't fit anywhere, but I think I just go overboard when I start a collection, so let me just show you what I've got. So the first one I have here is obviously Adventure Time themed, and I love Adventure Time. Ever since I first saw it many years ago, probably like definitely over 10 years ago, maybe about 15 years ago, and I just was like absolutely obsessed, which is funny because I don't actually enjoy things like SpongeBob, for instance. I really actually do not like SpongeBob at all, but something about Adventure Time, just I was like, all of the characters were just so endearing, and the storylines, even though they're totally like bizarre, they're so good and stuff like that. So most of these badges I actually got on places like Temu or AliExpress, kind of things like that. I know sometimes they can have like the wrong spelling or the wrong like funny grammar, but I've noticed that they do really good pin badges. They're really good quality, and I just thought like they're really cheap as well. So we've obviously got Zombie Time with Finn and Jake as zombies. Got my favourite character, LSP, saying, "Oh my glob." And there she is, where she's wearing her trash bag, you know, like when she's camping around in the forest and she's like, "My beans." I have the Enchiridion, of course, the book, and Finn's sword. Then over here we have Princess Bubblegum and Marceline, and I really like this one because you can have it whichever way up that you want. I've got it with PB at the bottom and Marceline at the top. Then over here we have Princess Bubblegum being all science oriented. She's got her little flask, and of course Peppermint Butler reading Dark Magic 101. And another Princess Bubblegum and Marceline, because of course you can turn it up the other way, but I figured because I've got Princess Bubblegum at the bottom here, I thought I'd have Marceline at the bottom here. And it's a kind of yin and yang effect. And you can see Marceline's tiny little fangs. So cute. Who else do we have? Bimo, the classic staple character. I did want kind of more of an interesting pin badge than this, but there aren't really a lot of Bimo pin badges, so I just had like the classic version of him sitting. And then of course we have Lemongrab. So in the not so usual love, joy and peace, and then of course unacceptable. I can't really do it as loud as he does it, but and I love the Ice King because his background, like his origin story, is just so sad, so I feel bad for him. Like every episode I'm kind of rooting for him, even though he's doing like the evil deeds. I really love the Ice King, and of course he has Gunter with him. I think the colour of these really suits the background well because it's like a blue, just straighten those up. It's like a velvet, I think, crushed velvet, and it's on like a wooden type frame with a little hook so that you can attach it to the wall on like a screw or a nail. And I think the dark blue colour really goes well with the colours of the badges. So I bought the actual embroidery hoop itself from AliExpress, I think, and they come in a set of 3. This is the large size, but there's also a medium and a small, which I'm going to show you because some of my others are in a medium and a small. So that is the first embroidery hoop of pin badges. Put that up there. Which one should we go for next? I'll show you a small one. So this one here is so cute. So this is in like a light blue teal kind of colour velvet with some stars on it for like that extra kind of sparkle. But the badges that we have are from a movie called Howl's Moving Castle by Studio Ghibli. And I love that movie so much. When I saw these badges, I was like, yes, I definitely have to have them. And they fit so perfectly on this small hoop. They kind of like come out a little bit, like they're not uniformly inside the circle, but I think that really looks good because the badges themselves, although they're a square shape, they come out of the square, like his head's coming out and his feathers are coming out. So here we have Hal as he is depicted in the beginning of the movie with his blonde hair and the classic kind of pink and grey diamond printed cape. And then down at the bottom is after Sophie has accidentally sabotaged his shampoo to make his hair. She's just trying to do the cleaning, but ends up making his hair go dark, and he's really vain, so he's really upset about it, but I think it looks really good either way. And of course he's got the feathers growing because he's turning into his other version of himself, which is like the kind of giant bird type creature. And then we have Sophie up here, how she is depicted in the beginning with the brunette hair in a plait and her green dress and her hat. I like the flames in the background because they kind of signify like Calcifer a little bit. And then at the bottom is how she is near the end of the film, so she's not cursed anymore, but she has retained the white hair and just cut it short. And I really like how the feathers from Hal have also moved across here to Sophie. This is a really nice set. I don't know why, but it just really makes me think of the film so much. And they have like glittery backgrounds. So that is the small size of the embroidery hoop as well for styling them. Next up, I'm going to show you my Disney badges, which I've definitely shown you before, but I'm not sure if I had all of these. I don't think I did because some of them are new, but I had a small collection to begin with because we only bought the pin badges of the rides that we had been on. So until we'd been on the rides, we were like, no, we're not allowed to own the badges. So the first two that we ever bought were Pirates of the Caribbean and Phantom Manor. There's so much going on in this one. I really love it. It's got the ship and the palm trees and the logo and little stars and things like that. And then the Phantom Manor obviously is the classic manor with a big moon in the background, some bats, and the print of Phantom Manor. Then we actually bought another Phantom Manor one because it's like the actual plaque as you come in that's attached to the wall leading up to the manor, so I thought that was a really nice one to have. So we've doubled up on Phantom Manor ones, but I really like that. Then the Tower of Terror. So the first time we went to Disney, we did not ride the Tower of Terror, but the second time we went, we finally got to go on it, so we were then allowed ourselves to buy the pin. Really nice kind of pastel type colours. And of course I had to buy the spider bot because, as I always rave on about, I was actually really good at this ride and got a really good score, so I had to get something to commemorate the occasion. But I don't really like the badge too much because it's kind of industrial looking. It's not as intricate as the other ones, but it's obviously designed to that ride specifically. I know you can get little, the shoulder plushies that you can get, that people walk around Disney with little magnetic plushies stuck to their shoulder of their t-shirts and things. You can get a spider bot one, and I've never seen them in the park, but I saw it on eBay and I was like, oh my goodness, I would love the tiny plushie just to have out as decor. But unfortunately it was £35, and I was like, I can't justify paying £30 or something for a tiny plushie, but maybe one day. Then the most recent time that we went, we picked up this Walt Disney Studios park badge, which I'd never really had an interest in before, and now I look at it, I'm so happy that we got it, because of course the park is going to be changing. It's going to be an Adventure World, or Worlds of Adventure, whatever it's going to be called. So it's kind of glittery behind the spotlight. I don't know if you can see that, but so that's a really nice addition to have, because obviously the park is not going to be around with that name for too much longer. And last but not least is obviously my absolute favourite from Alice's Curious Labyrinth. However, I did cheat with this one because I've never seen a pin badge for sale in the Disneyland park. They do have some Alice merch. They have like a water bottle and a jigsaw and things like that. I have got some Alice merch, but I've never seen the pin badge for the ride. And so I went on eBay and I found this, and it is actually officially from the park, from the Disneyland Paris park. It has the you know, the proper back and everything. So I was super happy that I found this, because of course it is my favourite. My fridge just stopped cooling itself. Hopefully that wasn't too loud for you in the background. So these are all of my Disney ones, and this is on a silver crushed velvet, and I got the one with the stars because I thought it would go really well with being Disney themed, so like magical and a bit of sparkle. So, and of course, because they're all quite dark, vivid colours, I wanted something pale in the background so the colours really pop, and that was perfect. So if we put that up there. Okay, the next I'm going to show you is another small pin board, embroidery hoop I suppose I should say, but it is this little one. So it's a little bit different of a style, because obviously they are not metal, they are wood, and they have been handmade. These are from Etsy, and it's characters from a game called Night in the Woods that I played on the Nintendo Switch quite a while ago. This is a cat called May, and this is her best friend, and it's such a chill game because you don't have to like stress, you don't have to keep taking it back to the, you know, certain points. If you like, you can't really mess up. It's kind of, you just walk around. There's a dark undercurrent to the story, but it's such a relaxing game. You can kind of just check in with people. It's hard to explain, but I would definitely recommend it. It's such a fun game, and I've played it a few times now, but sadly I was waiting for the second one to come out, because I think they were going to make a second second game in the series, but I think from what I remember reading at the time, the dev did something like unfavorable. I'm not too sure, but I'm sure I read some like bad stuff that he did, so then they had to kind of disband and they couldn't make another game, which is such a shame, because, you know, it kind of takes away a little bit, but the game itself is just so beautiful and so nice. So that is that. You can see her eyes are staring into your soul. And it really catches the light as well, wherever you put it, it's like sparkly. So that's that. And then last but not least, in terms of ones that I have already put on a hoop, this is like a little mix of everything that makes up my kind of personality, but it doesn't necessarily have its own genre. It's like a bit witchy, a little bit kind of sparkly, and then cats and just various different things. So we have Poltergeist, obviously from the movie. This is from a shop called Punky Pins, I believe. It's like a badge. They just sell pin badges online. And I used to have this on my work bag all the time because I just loved it. I have a random glittery bow. Meowcula, of course, like Count Dracula. Some bats. We have Stay Spooky and You Suck. Didn't see them close. Just little bats. We have the High Priestess tarot card, and I actually picked this up in Iceland and we went on holiday, so it means a lot because of that. it was just, you know, the colours that I like, and also the fact it's a tarot card, and then the fact there was a cat. I just had to pick it up, and they love cats in Reykjavik. Like, honestly, they absolutely love them. There's cats pretty much everywhere, like depictions of cats, and there was a cat like asleep in a shop. It was so cute. Have a ghost cat with some fish, cotton candy in a sparkly bag, a bottle of booze because they're ghosts, and another couple of tarot cards here, both the lovers. So we have the lovers, and it's like a ghost and a female ghost, I guess, because she has eyelashes. And then of course Morticia and Gomez Adams with Thing in the Moon there. I love the feel of these. They're so textured, you can just feel all the ridges and things. And then we have a bottle with some kind of ecosystem. So you've got like lily pads and a frog or a toad, some reeds, lily pads again. And then the last one is a coffin with some ghosts saying get in, lose away, going haunting. So that's just kind of some random bits that I didn't really know what to do with, but I liked all of them, so I just kind of put them all together, and they're going to go up on my bedroom wall. I know it seems like I have an unhealthy obsession. I think whenever I show you guys videos of like my collections of things, it always hits me how many I have, and that I've gone like a little bit overboard. But I think it might be because I'm autistic, so my focuses are very like not limited, but I get obsessed with things and then I kind of circle back to them eventually. So I'll go through a phase of being really crazy on Batman, and then I'll move back to Alice in Wonderland again, and it'll kind of just go around and round in circles. But it's nice because the feeling that I get when I have like an obsession with something is just so nice. It's kind of like butterflies in your stomach kind of feeling. And I don't just mean when I buy things, it's not like that rush of endorphins, but just watching the animated series of Batman or Adventure Time and things like that, it just makes me excited and happy. It's like comforting. So these are some extras in a box that I got some hand cream in, but it happens to be like the perfect size. So these are just things that I haven't, because they're such different genres, I haven't found anywhere to group them all together yet. So first up, we have this, obviously from Stranger Things, the Hellfire Club. Sorry, that usually happens to me in the evenings, like when I have brain fog, I can't say words properly, but it's like the middle of the day, so I have no excuse. But yeah, this is obviously the club that they make in Stranger Things, and I picked this up at Comic-Con, so that's why it's like means a lot, but it doesn't really go with anything, so it just lives in the pin badge graveyard. Next up, we have 2 Calcifer badges, which again are from Hal's Moving Castle, and obviously they would go very well with Sophie and Hal, but they don't fit, and I think it would look too crowded if I tried to fit them on that embroidery hoop. So here he is making sure your bacon is going to burn. And here he is hanging onto this log for dear life. So they are really nice, but I just don't have anywhere for them right now. The next ones I got, this is from my favourite ever Christmas movie, which is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I had never watched any of the National Lampoon's films until my friend introduced me to the very first one, and I was like, this is nostalgic even though I've never seen it. So I felt like I was seeing something that I had grown up on because of all just the whole feeling of it, the whole like aesthetic, and yet I'd never seen it. So I just got obsessed with all of them. I love Las Vegas, and not as much, but I love like the Euro Vacation, and Christmas Vacation is my favourite Christmas movie. I watch it every single night, starting from the 1st of December all the way up until Christmas. I just fall asleep to it though, so it's funny. I always watch the opening and then I tend to like doze off, and then I wake up when he's in the attic watching the memories on the videotape and his wife pulls the loft hatch string and he falls. For some reason it must make a lot of noise because I always wake up on that part. But yeah, so here's obviously the quote, "'Tis the season to be merry." That's my name. And then "Save the neck for me, Clark." And these, I can't remember where I got them, but it was like a geeky website, and they were like $1.99 down from like a tenner or something, £10. And I was just like, oh my god, that's so good. And I will put them up at Christmas somewhere, but for now I only got them like after Christmas last year, so I haven't had a chance to use them yet. This is from my friend. She used to be my boss actually, but we've both left that job now. Pointless meeting survivor. She gave me this because it's like a standing joke between the two of us that we had meetings. We worked at a medical centre, and we would have meetings with the partners that would go on for hours, and I mean like so long. They were only supposed to be, half an hour or so, and they would just be so pointless because it was just going over the same stuff, and we made it into a joke. We would kind of look at each other and we'd make doodles and show them to each other. It was so hard to keep a straight face, but when she gave me this, it was just absolutely perfect. So always going to keep that as a nice memory of not so nice memories. This one has a funny story behind it because obviously, as you probably know, it's from Hocus Pocus, the movie. There's Sarah, Mary and Winifred Sanderson, and Mary's classic quote from the film is, "I smell children," because she can smell them. That's her ability. She knows when they're nearby. However, I don't know, I can't remember where it was, but my son saw this badge one day and he was like, "Mum, why do you have a badge that says that you smell children?" And I was like, "What?" And he read it as like, I smell children, as in like I go over to them and just breathe them in. And I was like, no, I like had to try and explain it, but it sounded like I was being defensive. And I was like, I don't smell children. I don't go up to them and like sniff them. It's a quote. So now whenever I read this, I just read it as like, I smell children. It's so funny. Because you would, I guess, if you didn't know the quote, you'd just be like, that's such a weird flex, but okay. So, and then the last couple, we have Get In Loser, and it's like an alien being abducted into his own spaceship. I just thought there was so much going on in this because you've got like the cacti, the swirly green clouds and stars and some snow-capped mountains, the alien. It's just so intricate for such a tiny little design. I did try to get this one to fit onto this pin board, but it just didn't. It just made it look really overcrowded, but it's the same kind of style as all of that stuff, like moons and stars and witchy bits and pieces. So some wolfsbane with like a lilac iridescent kind of colour to it. Now, last but not least, we have some Christmas badges. And what I do is at Christmas time, I just swap this out for whatever one is already up. I just take the badges off and put the Christmas ones on. So I guess the National Lampoon's ones can go with this actually. But these are all a similar kind of style to each other. So the first one we have is a little cat, and it says Santa Claus. These are all from that website I was telling you about, Punky Pins. They just do pin badges, and after Christmas they had a sale. I think they also sell on Etsy. They have their own shop on Etsy, but they all went into the sale, so I just bought all of them. I was like, yep. Like I said, I have fixations on certain things and I just kind of go crazy. Then we have the naughty stocking with some coal, lumps of coal. Cute. Then we have an envelope that says better be cash in here, which is it's not actually how I feel about Christmas, obviously, but I just thought it really went with the aesthetic and the colours are the same. I feel like this would be really good on a red velvet embroidery hoop, actually. This one's a little bit rude, so let's cover that up. But it's a little Christmas pudding with some flames, because obviously like set fire to, well, you set fire to them, I guess. Would you say that? Or would you just say like you light the brandy on fire? I don't know. I've never actually had a Christmas pudding. Sounds disgusting. And I prefer Yule log. Actually, like, love Yule log so much. And there's this little guy. He's like a little glittery cat wrapped in the lights, and then his butt is like a star. So cute. But yeah, I guess the vacation ones don't really go with that style, so I'm not sure what I'll do with those. But yeah, so I guess I have a lot of pins, but it's because they're just so easy to add to your basket, because they're just like a little cheap add-on at the end, and I always just think like there's so many that I love, but I do need to kind of stop now because I already have 5 hoops that I need to find wall space for, so, and I don't want to become a hoarder. But anyway, that is my pin badge collection. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you next week.